Welcome back, baseball family. Before we get into our playoff primer, we have to tell you about our newest. We have another new partner, if you can believe it. Because baseball family, sports betting has rapidly risen in popularity. We want to connect you with an opportunity to get started or get ahead like we have. Having multiple sportsbook accounts is the simplest way to maximize your profits, and there has never been a better time to sign up than now. When you visit our page, signupexpert.com/baseball, that's right, we are baseball, you'll be connected to all the sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. All these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users. This includes promos and things like that. And when you register through the Baseball Together link, you will automatically receive the top offer at each one. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful sports betting. I can tell you a thing or two about that. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support the show, sign up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/baseball. As always, there's a link in the episode description below. Now, baseball family, if you're ready for this, I know I am. So ready for the playoffs. I've gone through and done my morning, Brig.
You're through your morning period already?
I think I subconsciously wore black today. Like, didn't even think about it. The Seahawks played on Monday Night Football, and I reached into my closet and I grabbed my black T-shirt instead of my Bobby Wagner jersey. Just like, and by the time I realized that that's what I was wearing instead, I was like, okay, I'm at peace with this. We can move on to the playoffs now. So,
well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. So there you go. But before we can get to the playoff primer, though, Brig, we have to play the obligatory playoff primer sounder.
Playoff primer.
I told you I was going to keep it and play it every single year, and we will play it until the end of time.
Oh, man. That is like 5 years old.
Something like that. So what we're going to do, for those of you who are new to the Playoff Primer and the Baseball Together podcast, we're going to go through the wild card games first. We're going to talk about the matches, matchups, kind of do like a tail of the tape, see who has the upper hand. And then we'll go on through. We'll talk about the teams that have the buys, and then we will share our meaningless predictions for the playoffs. So, Brig, let's start with the first game on Tuesday. The Rangers at the Rays. This game starts at 3:08 p.m. Eastern time. Here they are.
Yeah.
So I'll run down the Rangers if you want to run down the Rays. How's that sound? Okay. So the Rangers are 90-72. That is their regular season record. They scored 881 runs, hit 233 home runs, stole 79 bases, have a team batting average of 263, a team OPS of 790. Drew 599 walks, struck out 1,416 times collectively. Then their pitching staff has a team ERA of 4.28, and they are plus 165 in their run differential. This is a team that looked like it was going to run away with the division, be far and away the absolute best offense in the league. And not to say they're not one of the top five, right? I think they finished top three.
Totally.
Finish the season, so still a great offense.
Sleep on them, yeah,
right, yeah, for sure. Like it is a formidable offense, but they have certainly cooled down from what they were earlier in the season. So I think that they've kind of got their work cut out for them going up against the Rays. When if this matchup had happened in June, I think it would have been a blowout.
Yeah. Well, especially given what the Rays did in June. But
right.
Let's talk about what the Rays did collectively. Regular season, they recorded 99 wins, 63 losses. Collectively, 860 total runs, 230 team home runs. As a unit, they stole 160 bags. That's awesome. The collective batting average, 260, OPS, 776. They worked 514 walks, struck out 1,420 times. Their pitching staffs have a combined ERA of 3.86, and the run differential is plus 195.
The Rays are an interesting team to me. So those 160 stolen bases, to me, come a lot off of their ability to kind of reach it, and it's not so much like the straight stolen base, but the wreak havoc stolen base, leaving early, causing the pitcher to throwing off the pitcher's rhythm, things like that. And Kevin Cash is such a good manager. He sees things where hey, the pitcher checks you once and then goes home 3 seconds later. And it's easy to track that now with the pitch clock, because you can say, okay, he checked 1, 2, 3. Oh, you can go on second 2 because he's not going to come over.
Well, and not only that, but the number of disengagements that a pitcher has allowed has impacted the gamesmanship on the base paths.
Absolutely.
So given the situation, whatever it may be, you might literally just, not need to worry about him coming after you at all. And that is a factor. I'm not sure it accounts for a tremendous amount of stolen bases this year, but it is. I think it's more than negligible.
I do think that pitchers keep it in the back of their mind, though, because it's they're I don't want to have a second disengagement because then I'm kind of locked, So it is really interesting, but I think we'll talk more about that when we wrap up the season in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, that is the Rangers and the Rays. Your second wild card series is the Blue Jays at the Twins. This game will be at 4:38 p.m. Eastern time. And as a reminder, these games are played 3 in a row. The Rays, Twins, Brewers, and Phillies all have home field, so all 3 games, if necessary, will be played at their home parks. They will not travel to the other team's park. They want to get these knocked out, yet give these teams a fair shake by not having them one and done after having earned a playoff spot.
Correct.
So, all right, Brig, why don't you tell us about the Twins, and I'll tell them about the Blue Jays.
All right, so tail of the tape on the Twins. They went 87-75 in the regular season, scored 778 runs, 233 homers, 86 swiped bags, 243 collective batting average, a 753 OPS, 594 walks they were able to work, 1,654 strikeouts. Like the pitching staffs collectively 3.87 and a plus 119 run differential in Minnesota.
Those home runs were startling to me. That's 3rd in the big leagues.
Yeah. It's a lot more than you would think.
Yeah, behind obviously the Braves, and then 16 behind the Dodgers.
Yeah. And honestly, never mind. We'll talk about that. But yes, I agree with you.
It's astonishing.
Getting ahead of ourselves.
We are. Okay. On to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, 89 wins, 73 losses, scored a total of 746 runs, hit 188 home runs. I would have expected that number to be higher.
See, that's what I was going to say.
Stole 99 bases, 256 team batting average. I think Alejandro Kirk bumps that up quite a bit. 746 OPS, 550 walks, 1303 for strikeouts, team ERA of 3.78 and a run differential plus 75. It's really crazy seeing these teams side by side like this. And I know it's all about how they're going to match up head to head.
Yeah, it is. But
right here, it's wow, that's kind of a no-brainer.
It feels like a no-brainer, but the problem is that Toronto has that X factor that works in their favor. And Minnesota has the X factor that would, when it's not there, they're terrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they both have that. I guess I don't know. I'm speaking out of both sides of my hat there, but basically, what I was saying, the same thing.
But
that problem.
That's like heads I win, tails you lose. The thing about the Blue Jays that gets me is the fact that you legitimately don't know who you're going to get from day to day with them. Like the Twins, you kind of have it figured out. Like they were pretty even for most of the year, but I feel like the Blue Jays, though, it's like 1 week they were world beaters, and the next year they were getting beat down by everybody. So it's really interesting to see which team. It'll be really interesting to see which team shows up. I'm curious if the same team that lost in the wild card round last year will show up.
Right,
because that didn't go well. For them, for me, very well. But.
For you, you're very happy.
All right, our third game, we have the Diamondbacks at the Brewers. This game is at 7:08 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. I'll start with the Brewers, Brig.
Do it.
That yellow is tough. Is that 92? And that's 92 and 70. They had a 92 and 70 record. 728 runs, 165 home runs, 129 stolen bases, 240 team batting average, 705 OPS, 591 walks, 1,412 strikeouts as a team, 3.71 collective ERA, and a run differential of 81. They're one of those really interesting teams that was a really quiet 92.
That's what I feel exactly the same way. And they are quietly steady. Though that is no longer a surprise. That's been their MO for the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What is surprising to me is that I still retain very little confidence in their abilities to go deep, despite what we see as a very steady, consistent winning culture, very steady, consistent winning record, a very steady, consistent everything. And we'll get into it later with predictions, but I think that is going to translate into a very steady, consistent opportunity to lose early in the playoffs.
It has been so far,
right?
Yeah,
I think we're going to get more of the same. Yeah,
yeah, and maybe that's what gets Craig Counsell out the door. I don't know.
No, Craig Counsell's going to end up in New York. Don't worry, he's taking Buck Showalter's job. Buck's already gone.
Your dominoes are falling into place, Brig.
They are. All right, let's go through the tail of the tape for the Arizona Diamondbacks, because they are super fascinating. So their regular season record, 84 and 78. Home and away splits were also interesting to look at. You should go look at those. Runs, 746. Home runs, 166. Stolen bases, 166. That's not a typo. I double checked. They hit 166 bombs and they swiped 166 bags. It was fabulous. Team batting average 250, OPS 730. They worked 540 walks. They struck out 1,247 times. Team's ERA is 4.47. This is the most interesting part. Their run differential is minus 15, and they continue to win. It's fascinating and fun. It's just plain fun.
Okay, so I've got some interesting things here to add to this, Brig, because you mentioned their home and away split, so I had to look. Yeah, I had to see. So 43 and 38 at home, 41 and 40 on the road.
Right.
That's insane. That's so close.
They're just consistent. We talk about consistency, and they're consistent. They just are, and it's interesting because they're also electric. Often,
they have the X factor in Corbin Carroll.
The Brewers are consistent and boring. They're consistent and steady, and it's not working very well. But the D-backs are consistent.
We do need to address the fact they don't have Corbin Burns the rest of the way, at least for the first round. Possibly
you're right.
The rest
at least for the wild card, Corbin Burns is out.
Yeah, but so I found another interesting nugget looking at this with the D-backs. Okay, 1-run games. Did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Their record 21 and 21. 161 runs scored, 161 runs allowed in 1-run games.
You see what I'm saying? It makes no sense.
Coin flip with the Diamondbacks.
We did not have room to put all that information on the graphic, but yeah, that is exactly it.
And 18 and 20 in blowouts, which Baseball Reference classifies as 5 runs or more. You don't know what this team's going to do.
No, but that's not true. You don't know who's going to come out on top of the scorecards, but you do know it's going to be fun experiencing it.
It is going to be a fun experience, yeah. Bizarre.
Isn't that wild?
It's absolutely bizarre. I love it. Everything about it. Baseball's weird.
Wild card. That's baseball, Susan, right?
That's right. Yeah. All right. Our last wild card series, we have the Marlins at the Phillies. Game 1 is at 8:08 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. First off, I'm curious why this is the last game.
Yeah.
2 East Coast teams playing in this series. Why on earth are they playing at 8 p.m. Eastern time? For me, it's no big deal. That game will be over by the time kids go to bed. But East Coast makes no sense. Put them at 3.
Or even at like a 6 or a 7.
Yes. Yeah, swap them and the Brewers.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes no sense, but whatever.
I don't know. Anyway, all right.
Start
us off with the Marlins.
Yeah, here's Miami. 84-77 in the regular season. They scored 668 runs, 166. Again, not a typo. 166 home runs, 86 stolen bases. Batting average across the team is 259. Team's OPS is 722. They were able to work 430 walks this season. They struck out 1,288 times. Team's ERA is at 4.22, and run differential is negative 56, especially when Luis Arraez takes a day off.
Yeah, the batting average sure drops when he takes the day off too.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So the Phillies are 90-72, scored 796 total runs, hit 220 home runs. I think Kyle Schwarber hit a quarter of those.
Yeah.
Stolen bases 141, 256 batting average, 756 OPS, 539 walks, struck out 1,481 times. I think a quarter of those were Kyle Schwarber as well. And
you got it right.
Team ERA of 4.02, run differential of plus 81. Now, that ERA, I know it's only 0.2 points, right?
Right.
But to me, it's going to be a really big deal in this series.
It is going to be a huge deal. Especially, and I know Sandy hasn't been at his best all season long.
Well, he's not going to be pitching.
That's what I mean. Even with his absence, his presence at his lesser self is still better than no Sandy Alcantara. Right. I think.
I think you're right too.
Yeah, I don't know.
There is some level of intimidation when that dude's on the mound that you don't get from other guys. But they have a couple of really good young pitchers on that staff. Yeah. So that can help.
And they're stepping up. Right? It's the way it should be.
Yep. All right. So those are your wild card series. We're going to get into the bye round teams next. So let's start first with the Astros, who snuck in and won the AL West.
Wow.
You're welcome, by the way, on behalf of the Seattle Mariners, Houston, because I can't remember if I said it here or not, but I was like, and I can't remember if I texted you, but I was kind of like, as much as I would love the Mariners to go out on a winning note, it's almost like just roll over and do a solid for the Rangers and let them win the division so Houston doesn't win it.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to hear Alex Bregman say whatever he said. But anyway.
Yeah.
So these are your... What's that?
I said you talk about them some more.
I'm gonna. So your Houston Astros finished the season 90-72 with 827 runs scored, 222 home runs, 107 stolen bases, a 259 team batting average, 768 OPS, 550 walks, 1,241 strikeouts, a team ERA of 3.94, and a run differential of plus 129. Framber Valdez did a lot to help that team ERA, and having Justin Verlander come in also helped that team ERA a lot in the last couple months.
No doubt.
All right, Brig, let's move on over to the Dodgers. Why don't you tell us about the Dodgers?
The Dodgers of Los Angeles, okay? Sometimes it's fun just to say that twice. All right. Now we got the church giggles. All right, they won 100 games for the 700th year in a row. They only lost 62. They scored 906 total runs, 249 home runs as a team. They stole 105 bags. Collective batting averages at 257. OPS as a team, 795. They worked 644 walks, struck out 1,359 times. The team's ERA is 4.06, and the run differential is plus 207. Their fun differential is negative 735.
Yeah. Yep. 207 is a big number. Like,
it's huge,
a really big number. And and you're right with that fun differential. It's so weird because they feel so business-like going out there that you'd think that they would be a lot of fun guys like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Kike Hernandez is a fun guy, right?
Yeah.
But they're not.
It doesn't transfer. It doesn't translate over to the fans. I don't feel like.
No, at least the casual fan, and I won't even say casual fan, the non-Dodger fan. I'm sure Dodger fans love these guys, but like anybody
But
else
if you don't, if you're not in LA, maybe it doesn't come across. I don't know.
Yeah, it's odd. It's very strange. I think you were spot on with that negative fun differential. Makes perfect sense. Makes pennies, Brig, if you will.
Thank you.
All right,
I'm going to move on about the Baltimore Orioles.
The Oreos. The Baltimore Oreos. I used to think that's what they were a long time ago.
We all did. Okay, let's.
Okay. Anyway, the Orioles finished the season 101 wins, 61 losses, 807 runs, scored 183 home runs, 114 stolen bases. That seems low, I'll be honest with you.
Fact.
255 team batting average, 742 team OPS, 512 walks drawn, 1,370 strikeouts, 3.89 team ERA. That's how you win championships, Brig, right there. And a plus 129 run differential. That team ERA is smoking.
It is smoking. And it's going to be debilitating for everybody else.
It is going to be really frustrating. And it's the Adley Rutschman factor. That's one of the things. Is if I'm assuming he's calling games, and if that's the case, everything he's done for this pitching staff to bring them up to the next level. But, Brig, they will not have Felix Bautista.
I know.
They're close.
I know. But I am not as worried about it as everyone else seems to be. I'm worried, or I'm concerned. I wished it were different. But I still don't think it will be the thing that, it won't be the nail in their coffin. Do you?
Yeah, I think you could be right with that, because I think that their bullpen could be deep enough that it won't be a problem.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You're right on that.
We'll see, and you'll find out in a minute when we tell you what our brackets look like. So,
yeah,
Brad, kick us over to the Braves, and I'll tell us the tale of the tape with the Bravesies. Your Atlanta Braves. They won 100,000 games, and they only lost 5. No, that's how it feels, though. It's like an inevitability. They feel like an inevitability. And whether they are or aren't, that's how it feels. You just have to acknowledge that that's how it feels. Okay, they won 104 games. They lost 58. They produced 947 runs, 307 home runs, 132 stolen bases. What did you say? A third of those?
Half of more than half of those were Acuña's.
Yeah,
more. Yeah, he had 73 bags.
Who cares about math, Brad? But thanks. So the team batting average is at 276. OPS 845. They worked 538. Can we just pause at that 845? Okay, thanks. They worked 538 walks, 1,289 strikeouts at the plate. Their team's ERA sits at 4.14, and they have a run differential of plus 231, which might as well be 2,031. And
that's what I was going to say. You can get away with a 4.14 ERA, which is still pretty good for a team ERA.
It's not bad at all.
Plus 231.
Here's the other thing. This team's fun differential is also plus 2,031.
I agree with you on that.
And that is super clear.
It is crazy, because Matt Olson finished with 53 home runs?
Yeah.
That is still
52
more,
or 53, something like that.
Yeah, that's still more than the next team in line.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, if you give me a second, I'll have it.
Okay.
That was the Dodgers with 249.
Right.
Still more than what they had.
It's insane.
That is staggering. That is so many home runs that this team, top to bottom, I think 1 through 5 all had 30 plus home runs. At least 1 through 4.
1 through 4 for sure.
Yeah. I don't know who is teaching hitting in Atlanta.
I don't know either.
But
it's electric, though.
Yeah.
Dude, I've said this before, but the combination of Acuna Albies is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Was it last week we said I called it Stockton to Malone? Like,
yeah.
It's like it's never off.
Right. You know what's coming, you still can't stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, Brad.
Before we get out of here, let's do our meaningless predictions because we have to.
Okay. I'm going to pull up the bracket so everybody knows what it looks like. The 2023 postseason on your American League side, which is the left-hand side of the screen. We've got the Jays at the Twins, and then the Rangers at the Rays, and then the winners of those will advance. And Brad, do you want to tell them your meaningless predictions, or do you want me to tell them mine first?
I'll go with mine. So between the Twins, do we want to go just based on the rounds that we've highlighted so far? Like you talked about that wild card round. Do we just want to stop there for now?
No, let's do it all. Let's do it all now.
All right, I'll pull mine up then.
Okay, pull up your. There you go.
So in that first round, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that between the the Blue Jays and the Twins, I have the Twins winning that one and advancing. And then your other wild card series between the Rays and the Rangers, I have the Rays winning that one and advancing and playing the Orioles. We'll stay on the American League side. So the Twins will advance and play the Astros. The Astros I have winning that one. I don't love it, but they're playing. I don't know. It's weird because to say they're playing well right now is based solely off of their last two series. That they won 5 of their last 6 games, but then they also got swept by the Royals right before that.
Yeah.
And lost 5 of 6 against the Orioles in September. So I don't know.
I don't know.
But I think there is something to be said for that many guys on that team having that much playoff experience and being the defending world champs.
There you go. I agree.
Okay, so there's that. And then on the other side of the American League, I have got the Orioles beating the Rays. I think that the Rays having to go deeper into their rotation against the Rangers, because I feel like that's going to be a 3-game series. Rays are going to be coming into the Orioles series with the back end of their rotation. The Orioles will be able to get out and jump out to an early series lead, and that's going to be all she wrote as far as that goes. Yeah. So then I've got the Orioles and the Astros playing in the American League Championship Series. And just because they're the better team, top to bottom, I shouldn't say top to bottom, but because they played like the better team this year, I'm going to go with the Orioles going to the World Series and beating the Astros in the American League Championship Series. Nice. Let's go through your American League real quick, Brig.
Let's go through my American League. So in your wild card round, I actually have Toronto beating Minnesota. And then they go on to play Houston. Houston beats Toronto to advance to the ALCS. On your other end of the American League card, I've got Texas beating Tampa Bay in the wild card. And then advancing to get walloped by the Orioles in the ALDS. That puts me, the Houston Astros are going to play the Baltimore Orioles in the ALCS, and Baltimore is going to win the ALCS and advance to, excuse me, Brad, you didn't say it right.
Oh, you're right.
The World Series.
I didn't say it right. I apologize. Okay. My bad. Okay, over to the National League. The first wild card series, the D-backs and the Brewers. I'm going to go with the D-backs on that one. Part of that is missing Corbin Burns. Part of that is the fact that, to me, the D-backs are a little bit more unpredictable than the Brewers. As far as, like, if you get them on the base pass, you don't know what Corbin Carroll is going to do, right? Like, he's going to be the X factor in that series, I feel like. And if he can have a good series, the Diamondbacks are going to advance. So I've got the Diamondbacks advancing over the Brewers. The Phillies and the Marlins. The Marlins did some work to shore up that pitching staff at the trade deadline, right? But like you said, no Sandy. The bullpen has been a weakness for a lot of the year, and they're somewhat depleted with some injuries late in the season. I don't think they can overcome the bats of the Phillies. It'll be a slugfest. I think these games are going to be high scoring. But I think when it comes down to it in the end, the Phillies pitching will hold off the last ditch efforts of the Marlins, and they'll win out that series. So then with the D-backs advancing, I've got them going up against the Dodgers. Dodgers are just going to be the better team there, just top to bottom. They're just going to beat the Diamondbacks. And then the Phillies and the Braves. The Braves are not going to be having any of what happened last year.
No,
zero of it.
Yeah,
the Phillies will not beat the Braves again. In fact, the Phillies might just get pounded into the ground by the Braves this year. So Braves advance to the NLCS against the Dodgers. And we saw what happened when the Braves and Dodgers played this year. And I know it was the regular season and the postseason is a different animal, but I feel like the Braves really are just that much better. The Dodgers are somewhat depleted in pitching, and I think it's going to catch up to them eventually. And who knows, it might catch up to them in the division series, right, against the D-backs.
Yeah, it could, yeah.
But I don't think they get out of the championship series, and I got the Braves going back to the World Series against the Orioles, and I will save my pick for after Brig does his National League side.
On the National League side, I'll start at the top. The Diamondbacks, they're going to beat the Brew Crew for all the reasons Brad already said, and we illustrated everything earlier. Then they're going to go on to play LA. And LA, as Brad said, is just a better team. They also have better tacos, and they're going to kick the crap.
I don't know about the taco bit there, Brig.
Have you ever? Okay, you have that both. I'm just trying to be inflammatory.
It's working.
Good. So the LA Dodgers are going to beat the Diamondbacks. It's going to be a clean victory. It won't be anything flashy. They will just steadily move through that series, and the Diamondbacks will have to go home. And then that puts Los Angeles advancing to the NLCS. On the other side of the card, I've got Miami also being cleanly swept off the board by Philly. I don't think it's going to be a tremendous battle. They might be high scoring, but it's not going to be a fight. And I think Philly is pretty much going to take it pretty clean. Maybe even they might not even need to go the third game. Then the Phillies advance to play the Braves, and you nailed it, man. This is going to be like, we might have to call the UFC and get Dana White over here to officiate and, make sure it's all clean, because this is not.
He's already dead.
Yes, it's not going to be pretty. But it will be fun if you're a Braves fan. It will be fun. It won't
if you're a Braves.
It won't be fun if you're a Phillies fan. So I'm sorry, but this is just how I feel. And then the Braves advance to play the Dodgers in the NLCS. The Dodgers lose, and I'm going to say summarily. They're going to lose pretty cleanly. And then the Braves advance to play the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series.
I missed it again. Dang it.
Yeah, you did.
Shoot. All right. So let's go back. If you're watching on YouTube, you already saw. But I'm going to go through real quick and tell you who I have winning the World Series.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
And this year I have the Baltimore Orioles. I texted Brig my pick so he could put together this fun graphic. And after I put down the Orioles, I said, yikes, how'd I get here?
Because how did that happen?
Yeah, how'd that happen? That's just like putting together my March Madness bracket. I never know. But I'll be honest with you. I've liked the Orioles all year long. Yeah. I didn't know that they necessarily had what it took to win the division. They showed they absolutely did, have been steady the entire year. I think that they continue to be steady through the playoffs, through the World Series. And I think they can get it done. And I think another reason is my bias of wanting a team that hasn't won one to win one.
Yeah. You have a 10-year moratorium mandatory.
Yeah, I have a 10-year moratorium. If you've won a World Series in the last decade, I will not cheer for you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
it's emotional moratorium for Brad.
Yeah, sorry pretty much everybody who's in the playoffs right now.
But, yeah.
But also not sorry at the same time.
Right.
So I've got the Oreos winning the World Series.
Yeah, you're such a trooper. All right, so going back through the championship series on the American League side, I've got Houston losing to Baltimore. On the National League side, I've got LA losing to Atlanta. And ultimately, I believe that Atlanta is going to win this year's World Series. And there's no way around it. I think that not only do they feel inevitable, but they are. And it has been well-deserved, well-earned. All the evidence points in this direction. Okay, it's a little bit of a chalk line. Leave me alone. But at the same time, I don't know how you could say that it doesn't feel inevitable. I don't understand.
It
So
does,
you
but
can
this is
say
the
you
thing, though,
don't
is that
want it to be,
a lot
and
of
it's
this is
baseball.
the thing that's crazy, though, Brig, is that there have been a lot of teams that have felt inevitable,
I
and
know.
they stumble. They fall flat on their faces. The Seattle Mariners are the first ones come to mind, 116 wins, and they
Yeah.
lost to the Yankees in the ALCS 4-1.
Yeah, I know.
You know, like
And,
that.
and
I told my parents in September, I said, you're going to be paying for a subscription to Sports Illustrated come October because the Mariners are winning the World Series and I need all the stuff.
yeah, all the stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I had my mom, I was like, get your credit card ready because this is what's happening. This is what we're doing
Yeah,
this year.
awesome. No, I'm not saying it is inevitable. I'm saying it feels inevitable.
Right,
and
I'm not saying that, and I shouldn't say there have been other teams that were inevitable. There were other teams that felt inevitable.
Right. But I do think that I'm gonna let the seeming inevitability take my vote. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bank on it this year.
Is there any bit of you that thinks that feeling of inevitability might be the fact that you live in Braves country? Does that have anything to do with it, or is it just that
That's a
they've
good
been so
question.
good all year long?
I don't think so. I think it's just that they're just dominant. But it could be a location bias or whatever we're gonna call it. Recency. It's not recency, but some kind of logical bias.
Recently, they've been fantastic. So
Yeah, that's true.
except for the last week of the
I
season, they
will
didn't
say,
have a good last week for whatever reason.
I will say, for the record, I want Baltimore to win it all. Like if I was gonna put my hopes and dreams on the table and not my thoughts and feelings, then I would definitely put Baltimore at the top. I want them to win the whole thing. I'm super all in on the Orioles right now. I started saying it last year. It has come true. I predicted the Rangers would start to come through, and that's coming around. It's really all very interesting, but I just love Baltimore. I love what they got going on.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so we did team shopping a couple weeks ago, and we did our shopping around, and I've landed, for the record, on the Orioles and the Diamondbacks. The Orioles because I love watching that team. I like a lot of guys on that team, and also the D-backs because I'm local. So I feel like I kind of have to. If the Mariners aren't in, I feel like I have to cheer for the local team, especially since they're not a division rival.
Right. I have a very similar relationship to the Braves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
but baseball family, let us know who you have winning the World Series.
yes.
And the other thing I want to know is, will the winning team, will the World Series winner represent the National League or the American League? I'm curious about that as well. Who you think will win? Head over to Versus Game, in fact, and let us know because we're going to put that up on there. It's probably already there if you're listening to this because I'm going to be putting it there very shortly after we finish recording. So,
and just so you know, if you need it really quick, it's btpod.onversus.com for the Versus Game. And your mobile browser is the best way to do that, but it's btpod.onversus.com.